Have you ever stood in front of your medicine cabinet, holding that little bottle of vitamins, and thought to yourself, this is good for me. This is keeping my brain sharp. This is helping me stay ahead of old age. We've all done it. Especially when you reach a certain age and everything starts to feel just a bit slower. Memory isn't quite as quick. Words get stuck on the tip of your tongue. And suddenly, someone at the pharmacy, a well-meaning friend, or even a health article says, you need more of this vitamin. It's great for the brain. So, what do? You buy it. You take it. Every single day. No questions asked. Because you trust it. You trust the label. You trust the advice. You trust that it's doing more good than harm. But what if I told you that one of those innocent little pills could actually raise your stroke risk overnight? What if the same supplement you believed was saving your memory was quietly damaging your brain's blood vessels behind the scenes? And here's the scariest part. It's not rare. It's not new. And most seniors are taking it without any clue what it's doing inside their body. You see, in the world of senior health, we often talk about heart attacks, high blood pressure, and Alzheimer's. But no one's talking about how certain vitamins, especially in high doses, can quietly set off a chain reaction in your system, leading to dizziness, confusion, blurred vision, and in some tragic cases, a full-blown stroke. You may be thinking, how can something so small be that dangerous? Or, why didn't my doctor tell me? You're not alone. The truth is, we've been sold the idea that more is better when it comes to vitamins. More for energy. More for brain health. More to stay young. But what if I told you more is the problem? That sometimes, more can mean danger. That sometimes, natural can still be toxic. In today's video, I want to take you deep into the truth that's not being talked about enough in senior care. We'll uncover the shocking findings behind a common vitamin, why it's been quietly linked to increased stroke risk, especially for those over 60, and what you can start doing today to protect yourself and your loved ones. You'll also learn safer alternatives that still support your brain without putting your body in harm's way. And no, this isn't about fear. This is about awareness. Because once you know the truth, you can take control. So before you pop that next pill, before you trust the label just because it says, brain health, take a deep breath, and listen closely. This might be the most important health decision you make all week. Backhand index pointing right. If you've ever taken a supplement for your memory, go ahead and type, I do, in the comments. It helps others feel less alone. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to ElderTalks Daily, because here, we don't chase trends. We speak truth. We care for the aging mind, the aging body, and the families who walk beside them. Let's begin. So, let's talk about it. The vitamin you thought was helping you, might be silently working against you. And the first culprit we need to talk about, is vitamin B6. Yes, vitamin B6. You've probably heard that it's great for the nerves. That it helps with memory, mood, even energy levels. And that's true, in small, controlled amounts. But here's what no one is telling you: as you age, your body becomes more sensitive. What used to be a normal dose in your 40s can become a toxic dose in your 70s. Especially when you're combining different supplements, or taking a multivitamin on top of separate B-complex pills. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine this: you're in your kitchen, pouring yourself a glass of water. You reach for your morning pills. There's your blood pressure med, your heart tablet, and then that bottle that says, B6, supports brain health. You take it. Because you believe it's helping. But slowly, over weeks, maybe months, you start to feel a strange tingling in your feet. Your hands feel numb. Your balance is a little off, like you're not sure if it's the floor that's uneven or your body that's betraying you. You go to your doctor. They run tests. Maybe it's just aging, they say. But inside, your nerves are struggling. Because you've been flooding your system with a vitamin that, in high doses, actually damages the very nerves it claims to protect. Studies have shown that doses of B6 above 100 mg a day, especially when taken long-term, can lead to neurotoxicity. That means damage to the nerves. And in older adults, damaged nerves can affect blood pressure regulation, balance, and vascular health, which are all stroke risk factors. But here's where it gets worse. B6 toxicity often goes unnoticed. Because the symptoms look like other things. Fatigue. Clumsiness. Memory loss. So you keep taking more, thinking the vitamin isn't working. When in reality, it's already doing too much. And you know what the most heartbreaking part is? Most people are never told to check their supplement levels. Because we assume that if it's sold over the counter, it must be safe. Right? Wrong. Now, don't get me wrong, B6 is essential in small amounts. The key word is small. Most adults only need about 1.5 to 2 milligrams per day. Yet some popular supplements are packing 100, 200, even 500 milligrams per tablet. And if you're taking more than one product with B6 in it, like a multivitamin and a brain-boosting pill, you're doubling or tripling your risk without even realizing it. So what can you do? Here's the good news, you don't have to throw out all your supplements. You just need to become smarter about what's inside them. First, check your labels. If your B6 dosage is above 50 milligrams, talk to your doctor about cutting back. Second, focus on food-based sources. Bananas. Chicken. Potatoes. Whole grains. These give you B6 in natural, safe amounts without risking overload. And finally, track how you feel. If you've been feeling off, tingling, fatigue, dizziness, it might not just be getting older. It might be your body's way of saying, please, slow down. Now, before we move on, I want you to just sit with that for a moment. This isn't about blame. It's not about fear. It's about becoming aware. Because awareness is the first step toward prevention. And B6 isn't the only vitamin causing silent damage. Let's talk about vitamin E. Another one sold with big promises, heart health. Antioxidants. Longevity. But the truth? In high doses, vitamin E doesn't just help blood flow, it can thin your blood too much. And in seniors, especially those already on medications like aspirin, warfarin, or other blood thinners, that can mean one thing, higher risk of a brain bleed. Not the clotting kind of stroke, but the hemorrhagic kind. The kind where a blood vessel bursts inside the brain. Let that sink in. You're doing everything right, eating well, walking daily, taking your supplements, and one tiny pill might be quietly turning your blood into water. One study found that people who took over 400 IU of vitamin E daily had an increased risk of hemorrhagic stroke by over 20%. That's not a small number. And yet, walk into any pharmacy today. You'll see vitamin E bottles with 1000 IU on the shelf, no warnings. Why? Because it sells. Because we're told to fear aging. To fear decline. To grab anything that promises youth. But you don't need more products. You need more truth. Vitamin E is helpful, in moderation. Your body actually stores it, so you don't need high daily doses. Instead, eat nuts like almonds, seeds like sunflower, leafy greens. Let your body get what it needs the way it was designed to. And if you're already taking a high-dose E supplement, don't panic. But do talk to your doctor. Especially if you're on any kind of blood thinner. This is how we stay ahead, not by living in fear, but by living informed. And we're just getting started. There's another silent risk we have to talk about. One that hides in the most innocent form of all. Folic acid. You see, most seniors are told folic acid is essential. It helps with blood health, right? Prevents anemia. Sure. But what most people don't know is that synthetic folic acid, when taken in large amounts, can mask a B12 deficiency. And that's a big deal. Because B12 is crucial for nerve function and brain health. And when it's low, especially in seniors, it can cause permanent damage to the nervous system. But here's the kicker, if you're taking folic acid every day, your blood work might look normal. So doctors miss it. And the damage continues. Confusion. Depression. Weakness. Even stroke-like symptoms. All from something that was supposed to help you. And again, it's not your fault. You're doing your best. You're following the advice you were given. But sometimes the advice doesn't fit the age. What helps in your 30s and 40s might harm in your 60s and 70s. That's why it's time we stop following trends. And start listening to our bodies. That's why ElderTalks Daily exists. Not to sell you on fear. Not to push another miracle product. But to bring clarity to the noise. To remind you that your health is worth protecting, not with more pills, but with better wisdom. And we still have more to uncover. So stay with me. We've talked about B6, vitamin E, and folic acid. But next, we'll look at one of the most popular supplements for seniors today. It's praised for its benefits. But if taken incorrectly, it may be doing more harm than good, especially to your heart and brain. You don't want to miss this. Let's keep going. Let's zoom in on one name you've probably heard 1,000 times in health circles, vitamin E. Now, I want to tell you about George. George is 68, retired, active, and someone you'd probably describe as doing everything right. He walks every morning, eats decently, and reads up on senior health tips. One day, he comes across an article that says vitamin E is excellent for heart health. It boosts circulation, fights free radicals, supports immunity. Sounds great, right? So George picks up a bottle at his local pharmacy. 400 IU per soft gel. He figures, if one is good, maybe two's even better. Why not give his heart and brain an extra boost? So every morning, faithfully, George takes his vitamin E. And for a while, he feels fine. Until one day, he bends down to tie his shoes and suddenly feels lightheaded. A strange pressure behind his eyes. He brushes it off as fatigue. But the next week, he finds a bruise on his arm the size of a lemon. He doesn't remember bumping into anything. Then, a tiny nosebleed that lasts just a little too long. Still, he shrugs it off. But deep inside his body, something else is going on. His blood is becoming too thin. Too slow to clot. And for someone his age, especially someone already taking low-dose aspirin or medication for high blood pressure, that's a dangerous cocktail. What George didn't know is that high doses of vitamin E, anything over 400 IU daily, can actually increase the risk of hemorrhagic stroke. That's not the typical stroke you hear about, the one caused by a clot. No, this is the one caused by a burst blood vessel in the brain. A slow bleed, often with no warning, and sometimes, no second chance. Let that sink in. The very vitamin George took to protect his circulation, was making his blood so thin, it was putting his brain at risk. And this isn't just George's story. Thousands of older adults are doing the same thing, because the label says, natural. Because the bottle says, heart healthy. Because no one told them otherwise. But here's what you need to understand, natural doesn't always mean safe. Cyanide is natural. Arsenic is natural. So are poison mushrooms. See where I'm going? Your body doesn't care what the label says. It only reacts to how much of something you put inside it. And with vitamin E, less is actually safer. Most adults need around 15 milligrams per day, that's about 22 IU. Not 400. Not 1000. Just 22 IU, which you can easily get from a small handful of almonds or sunflower seeds. A little bit of spinach. Some avocado on toast. Real food. Balanced doses. No hidden risks. So if you're currently taking a vitamin E supplement, especially if it's labeled high potency, go check the back of that bottle. Look at the number. And if it says 400 IU or higher, pause. Talk to your doctor. Especially if you're also taking aspirin, Plavix, or any blood thinner. Because what's helping your heart may be hurting your brain. And don't let fear rule your next step. Let information guide it. You don't have to stop taking supplements altogether. You just need to take the right ones. In the right amounts. At the right time in your life. Now. Vitamin E isn't the only one hiding in plain sight. There's another risk, this time, hiding inside that innocent-looking breakfast cereal. That brain boost protein shake. Even your multivitamin. And it goes by the name of folic acid. Sounds helpful, doesn't it? You've heard of it for years. Doctors recommend it for women during pregnancy. It supports cell growth. Prevents anemia. But here's the twist. In older adults, especially those over 60, too much folic acid, the synthetic kind found in most supplements and fortified foods, can cover up a serious and often silent deficiency in another critical vitamin, vitamin B12. And covering up that deficiency can lead to long-term nerve damage, memory loss, even symptoms that look eerily similar to dementia or early Alzheimer's. Here's how it happens. Your doctor runs a blood test. Your red blood cells look fine. No anemia. Why? Because the folic acid is doing its job there. But underneath the surface, your nerves are quietly starving for B12. And no one sees it coming. You start feeling tired. You're forgetting things. You lose interest in daily routines. Maybe your legs feel heavy. You chalk it up to aging, but it's your nervous system sending out an SOS. By the time it's diagnosed, damage is done. And in some cases, it's irreversible. So let me be very clear, folate is important. But for seniors, how you get it makes all the difference. What you need is the natural, active form, methylated folate. Not synthetic folic acid. And you need to be checking your B12 levels regularly. Especially if you're taking medications like metformin, acid reducers, or if you follow a plant-based diet. Because B12 is your brain's lifeline. And folic acid, when overused, can quietly snip that line in the background. So if you're taking a multivitamin or supplement that includes folic acid, pause again. Look for the word methylfolate or 5-MTHF. That's what you want. And if your supplement doesn't specify, it probably isn't the kind you want in your body long term. Now I know, that's a lot to take in. We've gone from vitamin B6 to vitamin E to folic acid. And each one, in its own way, has the potential to help or harm depending on the dose, the person, and the stage of life. But that's the beautiful thing about being informed. Because now, you're not in the dark. You're not guessing. You're learning how to truly support your health, and the health of those you love, with wisdom, not just routine. And we're not done yet. Coming up next. A vitamin that nearly every senior takes. A vitamin that's praised for boosting bone strength and immune health. But in high doses, especially when mixed with calcium, it can harden arteries, raise blood pressure, and push stroke risk higher, not lower. Vitamin D. Yes, even the sunshine vitamin can be dangerous, when taken the wrong way. Stay with me. You need to hear this. Let me tell you about Clara. She's 75. A sweet woman, sharp in spirit, who's always been the kind to do her research. She watches what she eats. She keeps up with her doctor's visits. And just a few months ago, she added a new multivitamin to her morning routine. It had a bright label. Senior formula, full of promises about energy, focus, and longevity. 1 pill a day. That's it. But slowly, Clara began feeling off. Not in a big, dramatic way. Just subtle things. She'd misplace her glasses more than usual. She'd walk into the kitchen and forget why she was there. Sometimes she'd wake up with a headache that lingered, even after her morning coffee. Her son noticed it first, how conversations drifted. How her sentences seemed to lose their way halfway through. And when he picked up the bottle of vitamins on her counter, he saw it, 800 micrograms of folic acid. Now, you might not think much of that. After all, folic acid is a vitamin, right? It's even added to bread, cereal, and pasta to help prevent birth defects in babies. But here's where things shift. What helps a young woman during pregnancy can quietly hurt an aging brain in the later years of life. You see, folic acid is the synthetic form of folate. A B vitamin that plays a role in making red blood cells and supporting DNA. In small doses, folate is essential. But when you flood your body with synthetic folic acid, something dangerous can happen, especially if you're over 60. It begins to mask a deficiency in vitamin B12. And that's where the real problem lies. Because vitamin B12 isn't just another nutrient, it's fuel for your brain and nervous system. And as we age, our ability to absorb B12 naturally from food begins to decline. This means older adults are already at risk for B12 deficiency, even before you factor in medication or diet. But if you're taking large amounts of folic acid, the body's red blood cells stay looking normal on lab tests, even while B12 levels are quietly sinking. It hides the damage. And by the time someone catches it, the nervous system may have already taken the hit. Numbness in the hands and feet. Loss of balance. Cognitive decline. Even stroke-like symptoms can emerge. And in some cases, the damage is irreversible. Now, let me ask you, how many seniors do you know who are taking a multivitamin? How many are eating fortified cereal in the morning, or sipping on protein shakes with added B vitamins? How many of them are being told that folic acid is safe, just because it's been around for years? That's the trap. We're not talking about folate from spinach or lentils. We're talking about man-made folic acid. Something the body doesn't always break down well, especially as we age. So what can you do? You don't need to fear every label. But you do need to read them carefully. Look for methylated folate or L5-MTHF. That's the natural, active form of folate. It's easier on your body, safer, and more bioavailable. And just as important, check your B12 levels regularly. If you're over 60, this should be part of your yearly lab work, just like cholesterol or blood pressure. Especially if you're on medications like metformin or acid blockers, which make B12 absorption even harder. Especially if you follow a vegetarian or vegan diet, where B12 is naturally limited. And if you ever start to feel tingling in your feet, cloudy in your thoughts, unsure of your balance, don't just assume it's old age. Ask about your B12. And look at your folic acid intake. Because Clara didn't know. And her story, her confusion, her symptoms, they didn't come from nowhere. They came from a decision made in good faith, with a bottle that promised more than it protected. But the good news is, Clara caught it early. With a little help from her son, her doctor adjusted her vitamins, tested her B12, and switched her to a methylated version. And you know what? Her clarity started returning. She began finishing her sentences again. Her headaches eased. Her smile came back. So no, this isn't a scare tactic. This is a wake-up call, one spoken in love. You have the power to adjust. To ask questions. To read between the lines of the label. To protect your brain before symptoms begin. And now we come to one of the most unexpected names on the list. A vitamin that just about every senior is told to take. One that's praised in every doctor's office, every health magazine, every senior wellness forum. Vitamin D. The so-called sunshine vitamin. Yes, even that. The one everyone says you must take for your bones, your mood, your immune system. But in high doses, especially when paired with calcium supplements, it might be doing the very opposite of what you hoped. It might be raising your stroke risk. Let's talk about that, because it's time someone did. Let's talk about vitamin D. Yes, the sunshine vitamin. The one almost every senior is encouraged to take, often without hesitation. But as we've seen again and again, what's helpful in moderation can become harmful in excess. And this one? It's more complicated than most people think. Meet Henry. He's 70. Strong, steady, and like many of you, he takes his health seriously. At his last checkup, his doctor mentioned his bones were thinning a bit. Nothing too alarming. Just the normal signs of aging. The recommendation? Take vitamin D3 daily. And add calcium for extra support. Protect those bones. Stay ahead of osteoporosis. So Henry did what many would do. He picked up a bottle of vitamin D, 5,000 IU per pill. Then another with calcium, 600 milligrams per tablet. He took them both, every single day. No questions. No blood work. No pause. But over the next few months, something changed. He started feeling tightness in his chest when he walked uphill. He noticed his blood pressure creeping up, even though his diet hadn't changed. He felt heavier, not in weight, but in how his body moved. Like something inside him was slowing down. One day, after experiencing shortness of breath and some discomfort in his chest, Henry went to the ER. And that's when they found it. His calcium levels were dangerously high. The diagnosis? Hypercalcemia. That means too much calcium circulating in the blood. And in Henry's case, it wasn't coming from food. It was coming from supplements. You see, vitamin D doesn't just help your body absorb calcium, it forces it to. And when you're taking large doses of both, day after day, without monitoring, your body starts depositing calcium in places it doesn't belong. Not in the bones, but in the arteries. And when that happens, your arteries lose their flexibility. They become stiff. They harden. This raises your blood pressure. It strains your heart. And most critically, it increases your risk of stroke. Especially if you already have high blood pressure, kidney issues, or are on multiple medications. Now I know. Vitamin D is essential. It plays a role in immune health, bone strength, and mood regulation. But here's the key, more is not always better. Many people think, well, I'm not getting enough sun. I better take more. But without a blood test, without knowing your actual vitamin D levels, you're guessing, and sometimes, guessing wrong. In fact, studies have shown that doses above 4,000 IU per day, especially long-term, can increase the risk of calcium overload. And when paired with high-dose calcium supplements, the risks compound. So what can you do? First, ask your doctor to test your vitamin D levels. It's a simple blood test. No more guessing. No more blindly popping pills. Second, if you're low, start slow. 2,000 IU per day is a safe upper limit for most people unless your doctor says otherwise. Third, choose food first. Fatty fish like salmon, egg yolks, and fortified dairy can give you what you need without flooding your system. And yes, even 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight a few times a week, arms, face, or hands, can go a long way in supporting natural vitamin D production. And lastly, if you're already taking calcium supplements, ask your doctor if they're still necessary. Many seniors get enough calcium through their diet without needing extra. Too much of it, especially in pill form, can do more harm than good. Because at the end of the day, it's not about having strong bones at the cost of stiff arteries. It's not about avoiding osteoporosis if it means inviting a stroke. Your body isn't just a checklist of nutrients. It's a living, breathing system that needs balance, especially in your later years. And here's what I really want you to take away from this: Henry didn't mean to put himself at risk. He was following instructions. He was doing what millions of seniors are told to do: take this. It's good for you. But good becomes dangerous when it isn't personalized. You deserve more than one-size-fits-all advice. You deserve a health plan that fits your body, your history, and your stage of life. So yes, vitamin D has its place. But that place is in moderation, with proper testing, and never as part of a blind routine. Now, we've talked a lot about the physical dangers. We've covered the vitamins that can slowly, quietly increase stroke risk in older adults. But let's shift now. Let's go deeper. Because this isn't just about the body. This is about the people behind the pills. The children caring for aging parents. The spouses noticing subtle changes in their partners. The seniors themselves, looking in the mirror and wondering why they feel off, even when they're doing everything right. This isn't just about stroke risk. It's about the emotional toll of trying to stay healthy, in a world that sometimes gives you more confusion than clarity. So let's talk about that. Because your heart, your mind, and your relationships deserve just as much care as your vitamin shelf. It's a strange feeling, isn't it? To realize that something you gave your loved one, something you truly believed was helping, could actually be hurting them. That the very bottle you handed over with love, might have quietly caused harm. The guilt that comes with that realization can be heavy. The questions come flooding in: why didn't I check the label? Why didn't the doctor say something? What if I've been making things worse, without even knowing? It's heartbreaking. Because none of this came from carelessness. It came from love. From wanting to do the right thing. From trying to keep someone you care about healthy, strong, independent. But here's what I need you to hear right now: you are not alone. And you are not to blame. This system we live in, it doesn't always make it easy to understand what's safe and what's risky. Marketing tells us more is better. Labels shout promises. And even well-meaning professionals can overlook the very things that matter most. So if you're feeling confused right now, good. That confusion means you care. That weight in your chest, it means your heart is still wide open. But let's not stop there. Because now, you know. And knowing puts you in a place of power. You're not just hoping things will be okay, you're learning what questions to ask. You're learning to look beyond the front of the bottle and into the fine print. You're learning to walk into your next doctor's visit with confidence, not quiet fear. This isn't about getting everything perfect. It's about getting better, one choice at a time. So let me ask you, what's one small step you can take today? Maybe it's going to the kitchen and pulling out that supplement drawer. Not to panic. Not to toss everything out. But to read. To ask. To reflect. Maybe it's calling your mom or dad and asking, "Hey, what vitamins are you taking right now?" Not in judgment. Not in fear. But from a place of curiosity, of love, of wanting to walk this road with them, not just for them. Maybe it's looking at your own habits and thinking, have I been doing what's popular, or what's actually helpful for my body? Because sometimes, it's not about finding the perfect solution, it's about starting the conversation. And that conversation can change everything. It opens the door for connection, for clarity, for healing, not just in the body, but in the relationship between you and the one you care for. Because what truly protects someone in their older years? It's not pills lined up in a plastic tray. It's not trendy supplements with glowing promises. It's you. Your care. Your love. Your willingness to learn. Your steady hand and open heart. That's what makes the difference. That's what turns fear into wisdom. That's what keeps your loved one not just alive, but truly living. So no, this isn't a message of doom. This is a message of hope. Because now you're equipped. Now you know what to look out for. Now you can act, not out of anxiety, but out of awareness. And the next time someone tells you to just take this vitamin, you'll pause. You'll ask questions. You'll choose wisely. You've earned that wisdom. You've walked through the fog. And you're coming out with light. So take a deep breath. Because the most powerful tool in senior health isn't a supplement. It's not a test. It's not a pill. It's intention. It's presence. It's you. And right now, you're doing just fine. So let's take a breath and gently bring everything we've talked about into focus. To recap, we've uncovered 4 key vitamins that, when taken in high doses, can quietly pose real risks to your health or the health of someone you love. Vitamin B6, which, in excess, can damage nerves and silently raise stroke risk, especially if you're taking multiple supplements without realizing the overlap. Vitamin E, which may seem heart-friendly, but at megadoses, can dangerously thin your blood and increase your chances of a brain bleed. Folic acid, the synthetic version of folate, which can hide a dangerous B12 deficiency and cause long-term nerve damage in older adults. And finally, vitamin D. So often praised for bone health, but when taken in large amounts, especially with calcium, can stiffen arteries and quietly raise blood pressure and stroke risk. All of these vitamins are essential, but only when used wisely. And now, you're equipped to make wiser, more thoughtful choices. Not just for yourself, but for your parents, your spouse, your aging friend, anyone you hold dear. So now I want to hear from you. Have you ever taken any of these vitamins? Have you noticed any side effects in yourself, or in a loved one? Maybe a strange symptom that didn't make sense at the time. Maybe a moment of clarity you had after hearing today's message. If so, I'd be honored if you shared your experience in the comments below. Because your story, yes, your story, could help someone else pause, reflect, and possibly avoid a silent health threat in their own life. And if today's video made you think differently about something as ordinary as your vitamin routine, if it helped you feel more informed, more empowered, more prepared, then I invite you to subscribe to ElderTalks Daily. This is a space where we don't sugarcoat the truth. Where we slow down and speak plainly about what matters most: your health, your safety, your peace of mind as you or someone you love walks through the later chapters of life. Every week, we're here, bringing you thoughtful, research-backed, and heartfelt conversations about aging well, staying strong, and being there for those who depend on you. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. And if you feel led, share this video with someone in your circle. A daughter caring for her mom. A neighbor who takes daily supplements. A friend who's just trying to do right by their aging body. Because the right information, shared at the right time, can literally change a life. And finally, before we go, thank you. Truly, thank you, for being the kind of person who shows up. Who listens. Who cares deeply. Who doesn't just want a quick fix, but wants to understand. To grow. To protect. To love better. In a world that's moving too fast, your presence here means more than you know. So until next time, stay strong. Stay wise. And keep caring. This is ElderTalks Daily. Where love meets truth, and every life is worth honoring.